Better late than never. Here we are. We made
Sorry,
it.
guys. I apologize. I was going through Lev Parnas's confidential phone roll.
Brilliant conversation, by the way. I mean, I was like, wait a second. I want to write a story about that, and I want to write a story about that. I want to write I mean, that was like, well, firstly, very important context for what's going on right now with Maduro, but also very cool to see all of Lev's history with the administration, what he was doing at the time, trying to do a very similar deal that just was done with the Venezuelans right now. It's incredible.
You know, it's wild, right? Like, you know, to be front and center with Lev Parnas, who in 2017 was tasked with taking out Nicolas Maduro. And if you go to Lev Remembers, or if you watch the Weekend Roundup, which we're going to post a little later on, you go through some of his content. He's got pictures of the contract with the Venezuelan government to give 2 billion barrels of oil to Lev and all of his friends. Who coordinated the deal. He showed us pictures of, you know, Trump donors and oil executives in 2019 touring their oil fields, going, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, Exxon's getting this, Arctic Blue gets that, along with their wives, doing a nice tour of all these new things they were going to get because Trump was just going to hand it over to his donors and his friends. But what's amazing about Lev is not only does he come with receipts, he's 10 years into this. So what happened, you know, this weekend with Venezuela and the illegal invasion, the staged invasion of Venezuela, which he says is staged, and no reason to believe it's not, with Maduro running around New York giving everybody the thumbs fucking up.
The most staged event I've seen in a long time.
Right?
It's bad.
Like, was it not?
Even the whole thing was just, you know, we'll get to it. But it's,
yeah.
There's not a chance in the world that it was real. Like
it's still not real.
Yeah. You know, we'll get to that. But you're right about his history. 10 years of incredible history, and he did this back in the first regime. So we know that this is what they're doing in the second regime because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mister? I have not seen you for a couple of days. Did you have a good week?
Yeah. Good weekend. Good weekend. You know, it was hairy right after Christmas. You get sick at Christmas and you get food poisoning after Christmas. And so, you know, it's been a slow recovery for me. But you know what? Fuck, I don't know what it is about Christmas break. I think there's a lot of parents that feel this way, even though my kids are adults. A lot of adults that feel this way.
Yeah.
From like December 15th until like the 5th of January, 5th or 6th of January in there. It's like you look forward to that all year. Get everybody around the table. You go do your things. And then by the 5th of January, I don't know if you're like me, I'm like, okay, everybody can fuck off.
Yeah.
I need to get back in the chair. I need to be productive. I need my routines, and I need to get back to cracking some skulls. It's weird what this job does to you. You feel like you're missing out. You feel like you've missed a lesson, you know, at university. You feel like you're behind. You're not going to be able to catch up, and you feel like you got a fucking duty to warn. But I was so happy to get back in the chair today, and really happy to get back on the FiveStack with you today.
It really
catch up with Liv.
It's a tough job to be away from. It sort of takes over your life, and it's also so interesting. I mean, you're just so invested in it. So here we are.
Plus we're at a bit of a fucking crossroads when it comes to geopolitics,
a little bit,
and democracy, right?
A little, you know, tiny bit of a rupture happening in the way.
Just a smidge, as my mom would say, just a smidge.
Nothing we can't handle, not at all. Let's get into the top 5, where, of course, the biggest story of the day. It's not really the number 5 story, but the most important one is Maduro, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, appearing in a Manhattan federal court at noon today for his arraignment on narco-terrorism charges. It sounds serious, but the photos from his capture tell a very different story than the one that Trump is selling and that the visuals are selling. Maduro arrived in handcuffs. Look at this photo that we've got up on the screen right now. He's thumbs up with these DEA guys around him. Does this look like a guy who's you know, just being captured out of his dictatorship and, you know, fearsome and just ready to fight? No, this is a guy who is coming on a little trip, a little like show and tell, stagecrafted by the White House, from Caracas all the way to New York. And the amount of times they've landed their helicopter today, and the longest perp walk you've ever seen in your life. He could have walked from Caracas all the way here, and he would have been, you know, they would still been walking. The amount of times I've had
the perp walk on the pier was like 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
right?
Go ahead.
No, well, like, to your point, it's a fucking show.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is a perp walk, and it's like Every single like MSM camera is got their eyes on this helicopter, which means every single MSM channel is not talking about dereliction of duty with the Epstein files and Pam Bondi's and impeachment and articles of contempt that Congress is filing. There's Maduro getting out of a plane with his wife. And then the perp walk, which you're gonna watch here, it took like for fucking ever. Listen, this is not a man who is in distress. This is not a man who doesn't know that this is just a stop along the way to a global vacation for the rest of his life somewhere. This is not a man, and there's his wife in tow on a perp walk. And by the way, this is the same man who Donald Trump, when he came to New York and he put him in the back of a white Sprinter van. I don't know if you saw that video where they opened up the back and displayed him through the streets of fucking New York with ICE guys, a red light inside the van and the doors open with music blaring like, we got him. We got him. Like they paraded their capture around New York on Saturday night.
Do if you were scared about his safety, because your mind is maybe escaping, or I don't know, any number of things could happen. If this guy was the same person that they're describing and he's got all these security forces that could get him out of any position, wouldn't they be worried about the van being intercepted and someone trying to free him? They don't give a shit because they know it's all performative. There's nothing but performance here. In fact, I'll tell you for sure, because I've landed many helicopters on that pier, this is a stagecrafted event that they've picked the right moment, the right hour, the right lighting. This is not done by accident. Every piece of this is directed. The lighting in particular, this is often very hard to shoot. Right there, I've made the mistake many times myself before. It's very hard to shoot.
Well, how far, like, where did this plane land, and how far was the courthouse that he made an appearance in, where he said, and I quote, "I am the president of Venezuela. I am a political prisoner of war. I'm innocent. I am not guilty. I'm the fucking president." So, how far from this perp walk, which, by the way, was all morning long on every television in the world? Yeah. How far is it to the courthouse?
It's not that far. Maybe a mile, maybe New York.
Could they have landed closer to the fucking?
This is probably the best place. That they could have chosen other ways of getting him.
All
in.
Right.
I mean, they could have driven him in for one thing. You don't have to. You don't have to fly.
He could have took a cab. Yeah. He could have taken a fucking Uber. Like,
there's many other ways to get him in there without this like parade of people around him and these long shots. Theoretically, he would have been housed at the Manhattan Correctional Center because of Epstein and other things. That's being shut down. So he's been housed in Brooklyn. Yes, there's a theory that would make it very hard for him to travel, but it's not really that far from Brooklyn to Manhattan. I mean, it's almost another borough. It's not that hard to move this guy. And so this is just theatrics. This is all theatrics. The drive through Manhattan yesterday with the doors open, theatrics. These are not... look, everything that happened in the last 48 hours has been theater.
I'm really glad that you're on Team Theatrics, because I just finished an hour and 45 minutes with my friend Lev Parnas, who knows that this is theatrics, who knows that Trump's law enforcement operation, his special military operation, got that from Putin, by the way. It's a sweet phrase. Yeah. It means you're not a war president. It's not a war. It's a special operation. Don't worry about it.
He might help in this case.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like UN Security Council, you had Waltz up there this morning going, "We didn't invade Venezuela. I don't know what you fucking people are talking about. It was a law enforcement operation." The U.S. law enforcement has no jurisdiction in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Unless otherwise authorized to have jurisdiction by Venezuela.
Certainly not against the president. I mean,
certainly not. He has what we like to call immunity.
Yeah.
That's why Donald Trump came up to the fucking G7 this summer and didn't get popped, arrested, and thrown in the back of a car, because he's a criminal that's not allowed in Canada, but he has immunity because he is the head of a state. And that is how this shit works. Heads of states can literally commit murder in other countries, go and do these things in other countries, and if they get caught, no big deal. Yeah. But to your point, he has immunity, and he does. He's right. Whether he's innocent or not of these narco-terrorism charges, totally different. They don't have jurisdiction to be able to do that, number one. Number two, back to the staging. Took him 28 fucking minutes. It took U.S. law enforcement with the help of the military. So the military, under the guise of law enforcement, wearing DEA, FBI, and CIA coats, went in, killed 120, not 80, it's now 120, 40 of which were civilians.
Can we talk about this number that keeps growing? Because I don't get how it went from 100 and, from 40 originally. 32 was what the Cubans said. And then it went to 40, then it went to 80. Now you're saying it's 120.
Yeah.
No, none of these bodies have been shown to anybody. I've seen
No.
there's been one report of one body in an apartment building outside of Caracas. Okay, that seems like a legitimate dead
Every
person.
major government lies,
Yeah.
right? And they'll lie to the benefit of whatever. So Cuba's like 40 of our people were killed. Well, quite possibly 40 Cubans could have been killed because Cubans were protecting, and a Cuban security force was protecting Nicolas Maduro. Here's the other wrinkle. So we're ex-Wagner soldiers. So we're ex-G soldiers. So he had Chinese, Cuban, and Russian security guards all protecting him. Now, if you follow my friend Dave Troy, who's a great follow, he put out a tweet today, which makes so much sense to me. Not only does it make sense, but we actually have inside information that would dictate from Lev, who tried to do this in 2019, by the way, and contracts from Lev, who did this in 2019, minus an invasion, because Trump wasn't under the duress of the Epstein files back then, so he didn't need this to be able to tell all of his mouth-breathing base MAGA voters that he's a tough guy and this is American imperialism and we're protecting the United States of America, which, by the way, he has not mentioned once since capturing him. It's all about oil, 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 oil. But Dave Troy said, the signals I'm hearing, he put this out on Twitter, and I love Dave. He's great. I've interviewed him a few times. Signals I'm hearing, which cannot be confirmed, are that Maduro security, who were former Wagner people, collaborated with the U.S. military, and that Maduro has been offered but not yet accepted exile in Moscow.
Look, I guess he got offered Turkey, and I think he got offered Moscow, and I think he chose New York, and I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to get a sweet deal as he goes through the courts. This reminds me a lot of the Marcos trial, who, by the way, prosecuted by Rudy Giuliani way back in the 80s, I'm guessing.
Ferdinand Marcos?
Yeah.
Ferdinand and Imelda?
Yeah.
All the shoes?
They were, picked up into the Philippines, brought into New York for a massive trial. And I think the trial ended up with him being found not guilty, or he died, I think, towards the end of it or something, but of natural causes, as we believe. But the real thing is that they brought him in on these charges that Rudy Giuliani had set up. And meanwhile, he gets to live at the Olympic Tower, Olympic Palace in Manhattan. He gets to hobnob with all the richest people in America. He's got his art collection that he stole from the Philippines. She's got her shoe collection. And they basically, I don't know when she died, but she died, maybe she's still alive, I don't know. But he died during the trial. I don't think she is, though. She must be dead by now.
No, she died like, I want to say a dozen years or so ago. Yeah.
But, the truth of it is this was a fake prosecution. And at the time, it just made sense. We were going to get them out of the country. They could keep their money. They'll keep their money hidden. By the way, a guy named Paul Manafort, I think, was the guy who helped squirrel away their money. A guy named Epstein was their financial advisor. So you can see that this is not a dissimilar kind of operation. I bet you Maduro is not going to be returning any of the money that he's stolen to the Venezuelan people. I mean, that's not come up at all. We've not heard anyone saying, hey, what about the money you've stolen? So,
let's lean into that a little bit, okay? Let's say they go in, which they did. They go in and pick them up in 28 minutes, prearranged, according to Dave Troy and some other people, including Malcolm Nance, who I had on the weekend with Coffee and Tea with Lev Parnas. Staged for sure. How, right, and why? Now let's get into that. Let's turn our attention to Donald Trump just for a second. Are you aware of the pay-for-play pardon scheme that he's got going on? Right?
Yeah.
Let's pardon all the richest people, all the biggest assholes. Let's pardon the Proud Boys, the insurrectionists. Let's turn them into ICE. Let's turn that into an incredible force. And let's pardon the Chrisleys, and let's pardon Juan Carlos Hernandez, former dictatorial, drug-running Honduran president that's supposed to be in jail for 45 years. Trump let him out. What do all of those millionaires, former heads of state, and billionaires that Donald Trump has pardoned this year, what do they all have in common with Nicolas Maduro?
They are drug people? No, they're not really drug people. That's not really the answer, but it's partially that.
They're beholden to Donald Trump, and they're fucking super rich.
They're all super rich, yes. They're all going to get golden passports and an ability to live in the United States as well, which is the other thing that Maduro basically chose. I don't think he could have gone to other places. He could have gone to Moscow. He could have gone to Turkey. Even Graham said so on the plane last night. So really, there were the options. Instead,
well, hold it though. Like we're talking about this as if extradition or exile in another country for a legitimate criminal and former head of state is really the narrative, right? Let's back that up and continue down the road of money, right?
Right.
Influence
Yeah.
connected in, like, no one's more connected in Venezuela than Maduro at the moment, right? What does Donald Trump have coming up this year?
An election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does he need more than anything
Look, he needs to
to win
get
that election?
he
He
needs to get
needs
everyone to
interference. He needs money. He needs friends. And I go back to the pardoning of Juan Carlos Hernandez, former Honduran president, head of the Sinaloa, one of the heads of the Sinaloa drug cartel, got 45 years, just let him out of prison, who's now working with Friends of Don Jr.'s in Silicon Valley. I just wanted to point that out. He is collecting dictators, collecting assholes, collecting billionaires, collecting criminals, and for a favor, whether or not it be a favor like, hey, you get a pardon, or whether or not it be a favor like, okay, Maduro, you can stay in the United States. Okay, Hernandez, you can stay in the United States, but you now owe me your life. Donald Trump is a fucking mob boss who's got a job to do, and he's going to go to jail along with all of his fucking friends if he loses the midterms. There is a very strategic reason he kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, just Nicolas Maduro, just his wife. And you want to talk money? Get Donald Trump out of office and find out why, because it is a colossal waste of time talking about law, talking about international law, talking about invasions, talking about oil fields. He has expressly told us why he's there. Oil, rare minerals. Lutnick last night on Air Force One, he's like literally itemizing the things that he wants from Venezuela. They got steel, they got mining, they got oil. We're sending everybody in. Donald Trump told the executives at Exxon and all of his donors ahead of the invasion, by the way, we're going in, so just get ready to go and divvy up what you need. The lithium rare earth triangle, it's right in the middle of Venezuela. So we can have that, we can have oil, we can have all these other things. But don't fucking sleep on the idea that he's not super excited to bring Nicolas Maduro, all of his money, all of his connections into the United States of America for 2026, because it is all fucking hands on deck for this guy.
Maduro and Trump are cut from the same cloth, after all. I mean, they're the same people. They're both involved in these, weapons smuggling, in drug cartelling. You've got a international crime syndicate that is basically taking over all these countries, and Maduro and Trump are the same kind of tin pot dictators that you get.
Yep.
So he's more than happy to install them everywhere he can because they're just like him. But what's taking a back burner in this little parade or charade down in Venezuela is the idea of democracy. The idea of democracy no longer exists as a plank in foreign policy for the United States. It doesn't seem to exist in the United States, actually. And so the what used to be uh, understood that we would encourage there to be free and fair elections, and the democratically elected leaders of that country to stand in those elections is no longer something we call for. In fact, it's something we don't want to happen. So Donald Trump, instead of saying, oh yeah, I've spoken to all the democratic leaders, opposition leaders, I'm going to bring them in, instead he cuts a deal with Maduro's number two. Delcy Rodriguez.
Delcy Rodriguez,
Her,
yeah.
her brother, by the way, runs the National Assembly. He's the Speaker of the House there, basically. So you've got the two of them who are now, this new Castro kind of family thing going on in Venezuela. She got sworn in today. She seems like a librarian to me. I mean, she doesn't seem like the face of a very fearsome dictator. But I don't think
But she's a hardline Maduro supporter, as
Yeah,
is the defense minister, who is his enforcer, as is his former Secretary of State, this Lopez guy,
Mhm.
who we talked about. Like the entire regime is still there.
And they need them there because they're lapdogs, not only lapdogs for them in the future, but lapdogs for the Chinese and the Russians who really run that place, and the Cubans who really run that place on behalf of the Russians and the Chinese. So the Chinese were there the day of this whole thing. They cut a deal about the continuation of oil before the actual assault on Maduro's palace or compound. So we know that they weren't even scared enough to be bothered to leave. They just stayed there for that day. They already had that deal. Trump had the conversation with China before. He keeps saying, don't worry about Xi, don't worry about the oil supply, don't worry about China. And in fact, China has done very little since this has happened. Yes, they've appeared at the United Nations. Yes, they've protested this. Yes, they've internationally been appalled by what has happened. But it's just all talk. There's no real threat.
It's theater.
They're actually kind of excited.
It's theater. It's like me and you going to a place and you saying, "Hey, Dean, we need to we need to start a pretend fight in there so we can
it's
both
not
leave."
a bar brawl.
And then like we'll leave, and that way we don't have to stay at this party. So let's start a pretend fight. We'll both get kicked out, and then we'll go to a bar ourselves, and we'll have a great time. It's like that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
What's happening here is Trump, Xi, Putin all had a quick conversation, probably several over the past few months, going, I need a distraction. We need our oil. Russia's like 40 billion in investment. I think Russia's like 20 billion in investment. As you pointed out, they've proxied Cuba to come in and run things on behalf because they're all communist states. And now they have a secret conversation and they go, okay, here's what we're going to do. Just go take Maduro and his wife. Yeah. We'll get the fuck out of the way. We'll give you the intel where you can literally, like, bombs dropping all around his house, helicopters landing all around his house, and they woke him up in bed.
And
they said he was sleeping, and there's no video.
This Trump military is not releasing videos of these guys going in, guns blazing, shooting people, but there's no video. This, of all the Trump administrations you've ever witnessed, the first thing they would have put out is them going in, guns blazing. But there were no guns blazing. There was no resistance at all. I mean, this video we showed you earlier of them flying into Caracas on a full moon, by the way. It's a terrible time to do a stealth mission when there's a full moon. And there's no anti-aircraft fire going on. There's a couple of explosions going on. That's them bombing military facilities, but nobody's bombing. No one's attacking them. No one's trying to stop them. Who told the military to stand down? Why did the military stand down?
Russia and China.
Yeah, obviously there's a deal with Rodriguez before all this took place, and with Maduro. I'm sure Maduro, for him to saunter into America with these thumbs up, and look at these other pictures of him just chilling out with all these cops. I mean, this is not your typical, this guy's not offended by anything. He's chatting with everybody as he walks in. There's a couple of other pictures. Just
what? I come from a time when they arrested a guy named Manuel Noriega, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Bag over his head, chained arms, hands, downtrodden, never saw a fucking picture of him, ended up dying in a U.S. prison. Same thing with everybody they brought back. Any Sinaloa drug cartel guy, they grab him by the back of the neck, they throw him in front of a camera. They were chatting with Maduro. He's laughing with DEA agents walking into the whatever facilities. And they're like, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Hey, nice. What are you? How old's your wife? Oh, she's like 32. How long have you been married? Oh, like 10 years. How many kids you got? Good.
Like a buddy's going to a bar, basically. You tell the difference.
You have to ignore human behavior to be able to look at this picture and go, oh, yeah, Trump got his guy. He didn't get fucking anybody. I can guarantee you, listen, if you're going to ask me what happened, here's what happened. They prearranged this with Maduro. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They said, here, you got to leave. Putin called him. He's like, you got to go. Trump needs some optics. Xi's like, yeah, you got to go. Leave all your people in place. Yeah, shove as much money into certain bank accounts as you want. Gold bullion, you could send that anywhere you want at the end destination. We'll come get you. We'll make it look like we fucking got you. You will perp walk you. Just go with it. Otherwise, we're going to fucking kill you and your family. But just go with it, dude. Like, that's all you got to do. Because this is how Trump does business, right? He enriches people. Like the offer that he made to Zelensky to end the war. This is the offer that he made him. Yeah. This is a true story. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. This is the greatest offer in the world. Yeah. Leave Ukraine, move to LA, start a film and movie career, and I'll just give you billions of dollars. How does that sound? And Zelensky's like, fuck you. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I exist. That is a very different outcome for one Nicolas Maduro. I can tell you that.
Nicolas Maduro is tired of being the dictator of Venezuela. That's clear. He's had his run. He's had his time. He is quite looking forward to his retirement in New York or wherever it is, in Florida, wherever it is he's going to be. This is where he chose to go. And yeah, he has to do a long perp walk or whatever and do theatrics for the president, but he doesn't care. He'll do that, no problem. And in fact, that it's I just want to play a little clip from last night from Trump's little Air Force One gloat fest. Here's what he said.
What happens? It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it.
So if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that...
She called it...
Well, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with them?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak with them?
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. What happened?
So three things about that. Firstly,
it's not a bad term.
He lied about not speaking to her. He obviously had spoken to her because he said, and oh God, yeah, I did have speaking to her. And 2 minutes earlier in the same interview, he said, no, I had not spoken to her. Then he says, you're seeing a different person than I'm seeing. Meaning she's putting on a performance for you. And she's not putting on a performance for me because I've got her, agreeing to a deal already. We've already signed the deal.
Well, because that's true. Like, that's one of the fucking rare moments where you catch Donald Trump telling the fucking truth, where he's like, well, I talked to a different person. But what he's really saying, let me translate that from Trump to reporter speak. What he's saying is, oh yeah, she's on Team Trump because if she's not, she knows it. Because if she's not, she's fucked. And we talk all the time. And yes, I put it to her. And yes, I told her we're going to take all your shit. And yes, I said you're going to facilitate it. And then Rodriguez put out a letter basically today saying, we look forward to working cooperatively with the United States of America.
Of course. And of course, it's going to make her the richest woman in Venezuela. Of course, she's happy to work with them. She's not a Democrat.
She got the Zelensky offer, dude.
Yeah, she's not there for principles. She is there to work the machine for the Chinese, for the Russians, and now the United States, who are all going to be her, her clients. And of course, the biggest thing that we have to be aware of is the Citgo deal. This is the the Paul Singer.
The Paul Singer deal. Yeah.
Paul Singer is not an unaffiliated character to Donald Trump. Paul Singer is a major donor to Donald Trump. He's been in his orbit for many, many years. He's also the guy running the big campaign against Thomas Massey in Kentucky because of the Epstein files they're trying to bury. So Paul Singer has a deal that was about to be enforced, is going to now be enforced, that was meant to take hold as of January. And this is the deal to buy Citgo. This is the big Venezuelan,
the
oil
Trump regime
manufacturer.
nationalized Citgo this year, right?
Yeah.
And so and Paul Singer had invested in it previously. And then when they nationalized it, he made an attempt to buy it. Unless you can extract oil, sell oil, refine oil through Citgo, which is dormant at the moment, he's fucked. His investment is toast. Thousands of gas stations. Lives in Louisiana, the biggest heavy crude, which is what comes out of Venezuela refineries. Guess where they are in the world? Louisiana. So, everything hinged on this for Paul Singer, 81-year-old and billionaire investor, really good friends with Donald Trump, really good friends with Benjamin Netanyahu, captain of industry, and one of Trump's biggest donors. So he just got the gift of a fucking lifetime.
Yeah, he got what he needed. He got Maduro out of the way without any resistance, and he's got himself access to all the oil fields and all the oil supply that he needs. And not only that, his other friend, Devin Nunes, who runs the the Trump Media Corporation that runs owns Truth Social, has also bought into the number 2 bidder of Citgo, which is this blue, whatever it's called, blue something. I can't remember the name. But there's another, there's 2 bidders. Both of them were Trump affiliated, which tells you something. When there's 2 bidders only 2 bidders for Venezuelan oil company Citgo, and both of them are Trump affiliated, the money is going to be flowing to Trump somehow. And that's really what this is about. This is about Donald Trump making himself rich, pretending to be an imperialist, pretending that he can go in and take a country over like that and just, own a country, run a country, when he can't really.
Well, dude, no, he can't run his own country. There's no way he's going to want to fucking run Venezuela, and he can't, and he won't. He's like, yeah, the guy's behind me, he'll run it. And then all of a sudden, the UN's like, you can't do that. And he's like, well, we're not really running it. We're just going to have a quarantine area for oil tankers outside of Venezuela. But they're running it, and they're telling people how to run it, and that is illegal. But that's not the point. The point is that this is all a fucking joke. This is all a ruse. None of this is real. Everything you're being told about how Donald Trump decided to get Maduro out, the reasoning behind it, which, by the way, I give him credit. He's totally bailed on 2 words, those 2 words being his 2 big excuses: drug trafficking and democracy. Doesn't give a fuck about either.
I'm glad he's being honest about that.
Yeah,
I am glad. We know who he is, and he's telling us he's not interested in stopping the drug trade.
Yeah.
And he's not interested in democracy at all. Like apparently, by the way, the reason they didn't put Machado in, according to the Washington Post, I can't confirm this independently, is because he is pissed that she won the Nobel Peace Prize and didn't reject it. That is why he refused to negotiate with her or deal with her, is because she refused to reject it and hand it over to Donald Trump.
You're talking about Corina Machado. She was literally won the last election in Venezuela in a landslide, never left, had multiple attempts on her life, won the Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump did not win it, and then she said she dedicated it to him, but he was super pissed about 2 things. That, which is why he's not endorsing her, who should be the legitimate democratically elected president of Venezuela right now, so clearly not interested in democracy, but another petty little pain that he chose to fucking take out on what should be the world leader of Venezuela. But he was pissed that she didn't give him her Nobel prize.
Which
Like
he really
physically
deserves.
give him the plaque going, you know what, this is yours.
Yeah.
Got it. So he's pissed about that. But the other thing that pissed him off, according to, again, the Wall Street Journal, what were the videos of Maduro dancing on stage over the past week going, basically, come get me, prick. Come get me. You like this? Come get me. And so, if I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but he is that petty. But to your point, the bigger issue is him saying, I'm not interested in democracy. I'm interested in oil, steel, rare minerals. When we fix all the oil, which is what he said on Air Force One last night, then we'll have elections. And what he's saying there is when we take what we want and it is impossible for you to take it away from us, then we'll consider putting someone else in there who's one of our puppets, one of Putin's puppets, and one of Xi's puppets.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Listen to that clip about democracy. It's worth our time here just for a second.
Are you going to demand free and fair elections in the short term in Venezuela?
Well, it depends. When you're talking, we have to do one thing in Venezuela: bring it back. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been if I had
Not
lost
a
the
word
election,
about democracy.
we would have been a dead country. We would have been Venezuela on steroids.
Yeah, he just talks about Venezuela.
Right now
he
is
just
a
talks
dead
about
country.
the.
We have to bring it
That's
back.
the story,
We have to
I
have-
mean, he's not interested in democracy at all. He couldn't care less. This is just him being Donald Trump, stealing as much as wealth as he can, plundering a neighboring country, and hoping for the best. But he might get away with it in this case. The number 4 story on the countdown is Denmark is in full crisis mode after President Trump doubled down Sunday on threats to seize Greenland, telling reporters aboard Air Force One that we need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it. I think do anything about it is what he means. The threat came just hours after Trump advisor Katie Miller posted an image of Greenland covered with the American flag, captioned "Soon." on
Former
Sat-
Epstein hooker, Katie Miller? Is that what you're
That's
talking
the
about?
same one, and Elon Musk potential lover, and also Stephen Miller's wife. That one, yeah, that same Katie Miller. Yeah, she put that out. She must know
All right.
something. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't. That post appeared hours within the Venezuela operation. Then yesterday on Air Force One, Trump says maybe 2 months, maybe 20 days before he gets to Greenland. The Danes are not happy. The Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, issued a sharp rebuke Sunday, urging Trump to stop the threats against a historically close ally. But she says this is different. She's they're taking this quite seriously, and therefore, could be taking this to NATO and other places. But this is disrespectful, she says, amongst other things. But this is a serious thing. He's obviously going to go for Greenland.
Well, did you hear him mock Denmark yesterday? That's what I found really incredible. I mean, sure, the rhetoric around we need Greenland. We got to have Greenland. They don't need fucking Greenland. They don't have to have Greenland. What he said yesterday, which you want to get to the disrespectful part, where he's like, yeah, I heard Denmark decided to put some more military assets there, so one more dog sled. That's what he said on the plane. What Donald Trump is severely underestimating, and what Donald Trump has no desire to understand, is the will of the Danish people.
Yeah.
What Donald Trump will not understand is the will of every other allied country with Denmark right now. England, France, Canada, right? Sweden, Norway, all the Baltic states. There were about 48 countries that came out with a deep-throated rebuke of Donald Trump's, maybe in 20 days, maybe in 2 months, but we need it, we're going to have it, we're going to take it.
Yeah.
This is going to be because of Greenland, the way Greenland is, and the people of Greenland. I had Malcolm Nance on the show. Actually, I'm going to be chatting with Malcolm. I believe Malcolm and Jacob Carsbo from Denmark around 6 o'clock tonight.
Oh, wow.
Right here to talk about this very thing, just to give people some perspective. But Denmark is on not just high alert, they're now mobilizing certain assets, not to deter, but to show the free world. And it's not just Denmark. You've got England, France, Norway, a couple of other countries. Norway and Denmark traditionally don't like each other. Norway came out today, was like, yeah, we're on Team Denmark. So, militarily, we'll do whatever we need to do to keep Greenland Danish. It doesn't belong to the United States. Mette Frederiksen, who is the president of Denmark or the prime minister of Denmark, she came out to your point and basically said not only is this dangerous, it's stupid. And really what's going to happen here is this, nothing. And why nothing is going to happen is that the United States military does not have the capability to take over Greenland at the moment. Not only do they not have the capability, they don't have the people, they don't have the equipment. It is fucking freezing cold up there. So when he says in 20 days or 2 months, the window of that and the rhetoric around that, and that you're seeing from people like Katie Miller is supposed to get the people of Denmark, the EU, which Donald Trump said, oh, yeah, the EU is just going to give us Greenland. We're just going to make them do it. That's what he said yesterday, too. Don't worry about it. We got it all in the bag. And I love the manifestation of his will, but it's all bullshit because he has not fucking tangled with these EU countries before. He does not know, nor does he understand the resolve of these countries and their sovereignty and what it means. These are people that have lived literally with a Russian threat at their doorstep for 100 fucking years. So there is no chance that there will be any quarter or offer made for Denmark, to Denmark or the EU, where Greenland is just going to be handed over. So we're setting up for something. What that something is, we don't know. But does Trump have the resolve to go to war? Fuck no.
But he can't.
He just pretended to go to war with Venezuela, and it was a lie. It was a joke.
It was a lie. It was a joke, but the world is still seeing him parachute into a country, take up the leader, and bring him to justice in New York. Whether that is still a narrative of this, even though it's largely a structured one. The thing is about Greenland is I wouldn't count this out. I mean, in 2 months it is going to be much warmer. That's the timeline he gave. If we're heading into spring to summer kind of attempt to do something, you would do it in that time of the year. I think he's very strategically interested in Greenland, and I think it's a big win for him domestically if he's able to get it. Whether we like it or not, that's just the reality of it. People are going to think, oh, wow, this guy really means business. He's not just saying things. He's gone and got us this big new piece of property, which is full of resources and access to the Arctic. It's a very strategically important thing. I don't think we can ignore it. I don't think the Europeans can ignore it. I think the Europeans, I think Donald Trump wants to go to world war. I think he wants to go into a world war sooner rather than later, and he'll do anything he can to provoke as many countries as he can in the world to do that. I don't think he's scared of it.
No, I don't think he is either. And I think that's, having said that, I think he's interested in looking like he's so powerful no one will go to war against him. I think what he's afraid of is the optics, which is why he called what happened in Venezuela a law enforcement or special operation. He doesn't want to be looked at like he's some kind of war criminal, but he is. He's a war criminal. He's committing war crimes all the fucking time in his own country and around the world with his friends, right? So can you give me 2 minutes? I gotta let this dog.
You can take 2 minutes. You can take as many minutes as you want.
I'll be 2 seconds because I want to get into the rest of the fight.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do as well, because I've got 2 minutes. I can talk to your ear off about a bunch of things, but there's this really funny clip that I wanted to play, and I didn't even know if we were going to get a chance to it. So let's listen to Jon Stewart. I don't think Dean likes Jon Stewart, but we like Jon Stewart. Here is Jon Stewart yesterday talking about Graham and the parallels between Iraq and Venezuela.
Eerie is the Iraq parallel? Well, we got one guy making the same case for both wars. And yes, it's who you think.
Saddam Hussein's a threat to my country. He's a threat to our way of life. He needs to go.
Maduro is an existential threat to the people of the United States.
It is time for Maduro to go.
Hit me with the works. Iraq, Venezuela, go!
We're giving them full opportunity to do it the easy way. And when it doesn't work, we'll do it the hard way.
If we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine too.
Chemical weapons is a threat to the United States.
Fentanyl poses a chemical weapons threat to the United States.
Al-Qaeda terrorists inside Iraq.
Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere.
We can get rid of Saddam. It could really begin to transform the region.
There's an opportunity to transform the entire region.
Bringing freedom and democracy.
Democracy and freedom
can serve as a beacon of hope.
Shock and awe. Shock and awe indeed. If you think this is getting confusing, you're not alone. Even senators can't keep these Bush or Trump wars straight. This is Senator Tom Cotton from this weekend.
I think President Bush has every power under the Constitution to strike votes in international waters.
Oopsie poopsie.
Venezuela has the largest reserves of oil in the world. Venezuela that has a rich natural energy resources.
Massive oil reserve. They have gold. They have rare earths, oil, gold, and minerals.
And I am sure there are U.S. companies that would like to do business there.
Venezuela for the American oil companies will be a field day.
I didn't think this war was a wise decision, but if it helps the oil companies smile again.
And America First means we need a Western Hemisphere where America is dominant.
If you're focused on America and America first, you start with your own hemisphere where we live.
America First also means the Americas first.
South America literally has the name America in it.
Oh, Jesse Waters, you dumb fuck.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
Guys, it was okay because South America has the word America in it.
Yeah, there you go. It's obvious. That's obvious, Dean. That's how you do your foreign policy, you know? That's how it all works. Oh, that's very good. Jon Stewart is one of my favorite people. Do you like Jon Stewart? Are you a Jon Stewart fan? I don't know if you are. Ask if you're a Jon Stewart fan.
I love Jon Stewart.
Okay.
You know,
he's fucking funny.
Well, see, like this shit's so heavy, you got to have the ability to laugh at it, and that is fucking laughable. Like revisionist history should be a fucking comedy special when it comes to talking about Donald Trump and everybody involved in the Republican side of the regime. Because what you just watched, which is one of those viral videos that went around this weekend, what you just watched was literally theft from talking points 30 fucking years ago to justify what they're doing today, because they are so bankrupt and void of any facts to be able to go and accomplish what they need to do, which is resource theft from a sovereign fucking country.
And you and I have been around for a minute, so we know these storylines from before. I mean, when I talked about the Marcos storyline, it's not because, I know that story. I covered that story. And I also know that it's involved with the Epstein network, and it's all the same network. So these storylines that keep coming up over and over and over again, you know what these guys are up to. They're up to terribly bad plundering of other nations. They're busy thieving billions of dollars out of the American economy as we speak, and it's just going to get worse. Now back to Greenland. You're sort of skeptical about there being something happening in the near term. You think it's there'll be too much of a deterrent.
I just, there's a couple things in play here. I'm skeptical, but I don't write it off. And the reason why I don't write it off is I don't know if you watched some of the clips from last night with Nutlick, Lindsey Graham, who literally was in a closet. Like, he was standing in a closet. He's like, I'm in a closet. I'm like, yes, you are. Yeah. Yes, you are. He's in a closet and with Trump, and they're giving their, standing at the reporter's entrance for Air Force One, giving people their time. Like, I talked to all the reporters. The fucking giddiness of Lindsey Graham, Howard Nutlick, and Donald Trump yesterday can only be described as bloodlust. You can only describe the fucking excited schoolgirl giddiness of those three dickheads last night on Air Force One as a bloodlust, as like a fucking like a fever. Like, these guys got a taste of blood. Yeah. They got a taste of something because they've never been involved in anything like this before. And now that they do, they have, Lindsey Graham with, of course, but now that they do, they have, access to trillions of dollars of wealth, and they get to decide who gets it. Yeah. So that's some excitement. But don't think for a second that those guys weren't big dicking everybody last night on the plane because they want you to think that this is what tough nations do. And Donald Trump said it best last night, where he's like, nobody can stop us now. And that was the scariest thing, because when you attach the nobody can stop us now to this new idea that Donald Trump is going to follow the Monroe Doctrine, which is, masterance of the fucking Western Hemisphere, ownership of the Western Hemisphere, which is everything from Chile,
that's not really what the
way
Monroe
up to fucking Nunavut,
that's
Canada
what he
too.
thinks it means, but it's not actually what it means. Monroe is about keeping the European nations from colonizing Latin America. It wasn't really what he's thinking is, which is about imperial building your own empire.
I know, but that's what he's exactly.
That's
but he, like everything, thank you. He called it the Donroe Doctrine, saying that he didn't forget. He's going to take it to the next level. Because in the Monroe Doctrine, it absolutely points out the fact that we do not engage in regime change in other countries. We are protecting the Americas from the European way of life because we've seen this before. We don't want to have a king. We want to protect what we have done here in the United States. Donald Trump has taken that, as he does with everything that he does, and he's bastardized that, branded that out as his, because he's a master brander. He is. And he's now reinterpreting that as, I'm a fucking take it all. And he said this: Mexico, sick; Colombia, sick; mentioned Canada, and specifically mentioned Greenland.
And Cuba.
He thinks, and Cuba. He thinks it's all his. And the Cuba thing, I don't know if you watched Lindsey Graham go, guys, guys, look out, Cuba, you're next. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys are so fucking hungry. It's unbelievable. They're thirsty. They're thirsty.
I mean,
for war.
in some ways, the idea of getting all these countries to work with you and be capitalist partners with you and being friendly regional neighbors is a really good thing. But replacing a dictatorship with your own dictatorship and becoming an imperial overlord of these countries
of another dictatorship.
Yeah, we know that sort of doesn't work. I mean, history has shown us time and time again, you'll get caught in quagmires and all sorts of things you don't want to get involved in if you do that. But these guys don't care, I guess. Meanwhile, at number 3, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Paris today, or is it tomorrow?
Today. Yeah, he should be landing anytime now. Yeah.
To participate in multilateral negotiations on ending the Ukraine war. But a stunning development today reveals Canada is already much deeper in Ukraine's future than most people realize. So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appointed former Canadian Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland as his economic development advisor this morning, formalizing the appointment of Presidential Decree number 15/2026, dated January 5th. Freeland, who remains a sitting member of Parliament in Canada,
it's causing problems here.
Representing the University Rosedale riding right where I am right now works directly for the Ukrainian government while Canada's Prime Minister negotiates the terms of peace. Now, what is going on? Dean Blundell has it all at deanblundell.substack.com. Tell us what's happening with Chrystia Freeland and Zelensky.
I'll tell you what's happening, everybody. I need you to pay attention to me. Pay attention. Lock on to Diener right now. Lock on. See these eyes? Lock right on. Right
Locked.
Chrystia Freeland was the Deputy Prime Minister and the Finance Minister under Justin Trudeau. I don't like Justin Trudeau, so we're just going to leave him out on a nice flow somewhere. Let's focus on Chrystia Freeland. Chrystia Freeland is a Harvard-educated fucking genius. She is a journalist. She is an economist. She's one of the most well-educated individuals on the planet. She's also got very deep Ukrainian heritage. Her parents and grandparents were in Ukraine. Now, the grandparents, specifically the grandfather, was co-opted by the Einsatzgruppen, if you remember the Nazi group that went around and told Ukrainians to go and kill Ukrainians, or else they'd have their own families killed. Her grandfather was one of those guys, lived with like deep regret, shame, all those things for a very, very long period of time until they were able to get out closer to the end of World War II. So just some very, very, very deep tradition, love of Ukraine, and came to Canada, love Canada. Canada's got the 3rd biggest Ukrainian diaspora in the fucking world, right? Over about 1.5 million. So Canada's got, and we're only 42 million people in Canada. So Canada's got a very, very serious attachment to Ukraine because we were built by Ukrainians. Our farmland out west in Manitoba, very Ukrainian. So to kind of, get to the front of the line, Mark Carney does not include her in his cabinet because she's been around too long, but she's also an enemy of Russia. She's on Russia's watch list. She's on a sanction list for Russia as well because all she did was write papers about how bad the fucking Russian regime was to the Ukrainian people and how bad Russia is for the world. So not only is she brilliant, not only is she well-educated, not only does she have incredible insights into not just Ukraine, their economy, the Ukrainian people and culture, she also understands what it takes to piss off the Russian government. So the problem that she's going to have is she's still a sitting member of Parliament, meaning it's like still being a sitting member of Congress. And she's got another job now working for the president of Ukraine. Why does that matter? Why does that matter to people? It only matters to people who fucking love Donald Trump, love Russia, and hate Ukraine. So everybody that's complaining about this here in Canada, specifically the Maple MAGA party, the Conservatives, which is a low-rent dollar store ripoff of MAGA and the GOP in the United States, they're howling today. She needs to quit her job. She needs to quit her job. And maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but there are no fucking rules for a sitting MP right now to go and advise another president on how to rebuild their country after going to fucking war and after being invaded by Russia. So Chrystia Freeland, as much as I did not like her as a politician, she's probably in the perfect position for her, for Canada, for Ukraine, and the free world Because that woman right there, that little diminutive person you see right there from Rosedale, riding in Rosedale, as much as I don't like her as a politician, she is fucking brilliant, relentless, and always does what's right because it's what's right. So that is why Chrystia Freeland is now the new special advisor to Vladimir Zelensky in Ukraine to help rebuild Ukraine, because she can be trusted.
Look, I think I think she can hold both jobs if she needs to, because here's one of the things, and maybe she hasn't, maybe she won't keep both jobs, but it occurs to me that if Canada's giving Zelensky $2 billion in the next few years, and
probably want to keep an eye on it.
And he's been involved in a few corruption scandals, or at least the people around him have been involved in a few corruption scandals involving billions of dollars given to him by also allied countries. Maybe it's not a bad idea to have Chrystia Freeland advising him on those economic issues, just to make sure that, hey, maybe that stuff isn't getting stolen or
I mean, you've got oversight there on
money.
behalf of Canada. You've got oversight there, and listen, she doesn't have a dog in the fight other than doing the right thing, right? And doing the right thing for Ukraine, the Ukrainian people, and making sure Canada has a seat at the table when it comes to what we're trying to help Ukraine do. That's why she's there. Brilliant fucking move. Brilliant move by Vladimir Zelensky.
And Mark Carney. I think this is a good move for both of them. You know, she's also very, very good at this stuff. She knows her way around the treasury of any country. She did a great job, I think, as finance minister. You'll disagree, but I think she did.
She did. Well, no, I'm sure she probably did a great job as finance minister. Is what really led to her, exit from the. It's what led to Trudeau's downfall. When she said, "Hey, this guy doesn't give a fuck about money." We got to do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, and she was at least fiscally responsible, but at least, you can trust her. And I don't know if she still rides around in a bicycle. She used to ride around in a bicycle.
Totally does, dude. Yeah, I saw her at Kensington Market this last summer. I'm having a coffee, sitting outside. You've been to Kensington, right?
Yeah,
they got a couple of kitschy coffee shops here in Toronto. And she's riding her bike with her kids down the street. I'm like, oh, that's Chrystia Freeland.
She's as unassuming as you could possibly imagine, she's going to be a good asset to Zelensky. But it does also show you how the world is reshaping itself. The United States is not the key partner for Zelensky anymore. Canada is playing a very prominent role in these negotiations. Canada is playing a very prominent role in helping support his government. I imagine there's all sorts of support levels that are happening militarily and otherwise with Canada, but also with other European countries as well.
Let me give you a little nugget. Let me give you a little nugget. So Carney lands, if hasn't already landed, I think he might have, in Paris, Coalition of the Willing, peace plan, peace deals. Carney's leading these meetings with Zelensky, by the way, Macron and Starmer. Part of this discussion is the boots on the ground discussion. It's going to happen. Keir Starmer, Macron, Carney, they're leading that charge. So part of the peace negotiations, and it will be an immutable point in any peace plan, is a coalition of Western forces on the ground in Ukraine. Now, if you're Putin, you're like, nah, or whatever the fucking Russian word, niet. You're like, niet. But it won't matter, because it will be one of those sticking points that Mark Carney, Starmer, more Mark Carney and Macron have driven home with Zelensky, as any lasting peace plan has to include Western boots on the ground, including us. Mark Carney also just made the rotation in the eastern flank in Latvia. We've got several thousand soldiers there, permanent for the eastern flank. So are we preparing for something? I don't know, but I can tell you this, is that Mark Carney is one of the only trusted guys on the planet to be able to deal with not just Trump and Zelensky and Putin, but he is one of the only guys that has the foresight to be able to come with a solution that doesn't alienate Donald Trump and completely alienates, because he's been vicious about Putin. Vicious. Genocide, maniac, dictator, murder. He's used all the right words to describe Vladimir Putin, what he's done to Ukraine. So that is why he's there. Mark Carney to the rescue yet again. I expect some major announcements either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning.
These world leaders are doing exactly what they need to do at a time when the world really needs them to do this, because, we could be appeasing Putin right now, and we can't be. The reality of it is, we know the game. We know what they're doing. With Donald Trump abdicating responsibility for the free democratic world, Mark Carney stepping in, and Zelensky is the one thing that's stopping the world from all-out world war right now, I believe. And,
do you remember when Carney said, if the United States doesn't want to lead, Canada will?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's happening. The number 2 story on the countdown today is all about Elon Musk because Elon is back.
He's back, baby.
Elon Musk posted a photo from Saturday night's dinner at Mar-a-Lago showing him seated at a table with President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, writing, "Had a lovely dinner last night with POTUS and FLOTUS. 2026 is going to be amazing!" Exclamation mark. The post signals that Musk's relationship with Trump has been repaired thanks to J.D. Vance after months of public feuding, and the timing reveals why both of these men are interested in what comes out of Venezuela. The mineral resources in Venezuela are very important to these men, but of course, there's the interference in the upcoming elections, which you can bet Elon Musk is offering his services for.
Oh, he is. He said he'll spend whatever to get Donald Trump reelected. Read a report yesterday that said he is petrified of Donald Trump losing because if Donald Trump loses, then the cover comes off, all the illegality, the collusion, Doge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Gets interesting though in the rekindling of the Trump Musk bromance, because Musk was the guy that effectively let the free world know to a few 100 million people on Twitter that Trump's in the Epstein files. That's the really big bomb, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And so 2 things that I think when I saw that picture. One is Elon Musk is cosplaying. He is fucking petrified of losing, and he'll do anything he can, including put all of his pride, all of his self-worth in his back pocket and prostrate himself in front of Donald Trump and his wife. And Donald Trump needs him as well. There's, we go back to the Maduro conversation, the Juan Carlos Hernandez conversation. He didn't care where the fucking money comes from, who said what, who did what. He just needs the war chest, and he needs the influence, and he needs the people. So don't expect this relationship to go anywhere. But where it gets really fascinating to me is we go back to Venezuela. Venezuela, Bolivia, I can't remember the name of the other country, but there is this massive triangle of minerals. Lithium.
Importance.
The biggest, like 80% of the world's lithium deposits in this one triangle that include a large portion of fucking Venezuela and Bolivia. And all of a sudden, Elon Musk shows up on the scene. We know what self-driving. We know what he wants, right? He wants lithium.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck about anything else. He just needs lithium. And that man is at the table because he wants to take part in the plunder of Venezuela as well. He's also at the table, as I said earlier, because he knows he is going to a federal pound you in the you-know-what prison if Gavin Newsom is the next president of the United States.
He's also a Russian asset. I mean, we've known him to be a Russian asset. He certainly was used as a Russian asset during the elections last year. And one of the things he's doing right now in Venezuela is offering a free service to all Venezuelans of Starlink, free internet service. This cannot be a good thing that he's doing this for. There's some deal that he's obviously involved in designed to control or
it's reputational influence, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's also
like the Venezuelan people probably sit there going, "Oh, really? We get the free Wi-Fi?" Well, he'll be a reputational hero down there.
Starlink as well was used, I believe, in the 2024 interference in the election campaign. I think that, if there was rigging of those numbers, maybe there was, maybe there wasn't, but certainly Starlink had the capability to do that during the same kind of thing, offering emergency services to people during an emergency time. It gives them access to all the cell phone networks of any country that are connected to electronic voting machines. Now, will they give them emergency access to Venezuela, but also allow them access to all of America? Because that's what they really want. If they can do that, you can bet that they'll try to do as much rigging of the 26 elections as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 1 story on the countdown today, you don't even know what it is, I don't think. I
got to tell you, most of these things have been a surprise to me.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good. I like it when I'm surprised. No, they're not. So an NPR investigation published yesterday reveals that the Trump administration is systematically destroying evidence of the January the 6th, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, erasing government records in what legal experts say is likely a violation of federal law. The Justice Department has deleted its entire public database of 1,500 plus January the 6th prosecutions. The FBI took offline its most wanted site showing Capitol rioters who remained at large, and evidence is disappearing from the court exhibit sites. References to January 6th as a riot have been scrubbed from all official documents, and 40 federal prosecutors who worked on the cases have been fired. Today, apparently FBI agents are also going to be receiving their termination notices, and others, prosecutors inside the DOJ, who were involved in this prosecution of January the 6th. This is a cover-up of gigantic proportions. And I know we're all focused on Epstein as a mammoth
and
cover-up.
Venezuela.
And Venezuela, yeah, but yes. But this one is really flying under the radar and needs a lot of attention because we all saw that in front of our eyes. We all watched the live televised coverage of these guys storming the Capitol. We saw them threatening our Congress people. We saw them smearing the walls with defecation. We saw them damaging the people's property and refusing to leave. Threatening people with their
One guy
lives.
took a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Yeah, and beating up and killing Capitol Police people at the Capitol. And so now the same president who thinks that this was just a tourist event or whatever he wants to call it, and not an insurrection, even though Jack Smith said the other day, looks to him like that was a rigging. In the same person who's doing that is also now ordering his Department of Justice to absolutely cover up, destroy any evidence of January 6th from the future history records, from anything in the future, so he can avoid prosecution and everyone else can too. That
Smithsonian too, right?
That is very frightening. That documentation belongs to the American people. The Justice Department has a duty to keep those records. They should not be deleting those records, and they should be held for future prosecutions if they're needed, because a lot of these people might be getting into trouble again in the future. And of course, the president himself might have gotten into trouble for that very thing had he not run out the clock on some of those legal maneuvers by Jack Smith.
What do you say? I mean, it's the same MO as, these heavily redacted Epstein files, overly redacted Epstein files, where like a butler's name was left out of it, investors' names were left out of it. They didn't,
anyone Russian was left out of it.
Anyone Russian was left out of it. I mean, fuck. I mean, if you don't get this guy out of office, America, you're fucked. He will change your reality. He will change your history. He's doing it right now. And he's changing the reality and the history that traditionally should always bring consequences and protect you. Always. If you don't get him the fuck out of office in the next 2 to 3 months, my God, you will live a completely separate, negative, hateful, plundering reality. America is going to suffer greatly. If you think your reputation is the only thing other countries are going to attack, you're crazy. They're coming for you, America. They're coming for you because your president's a piece of shit that is trying to re-engineer reality, trying to change history. He can't. I know what's going to happen. What's going to happen at the end of his presidency is his name is going to come off of walls. It's going to come off of buildings. It's going to come off of the fucking Kennedy Center. Anything branded with his name will be much like, Nazi Germany in 1945, will be smelted, dealt, destroyed. His entire family, if you do the right thing, will never be allowed to set foot in the United States again. His memory will be an embarrassment and a stain on the United States of America. But you have to get this fucking guy out. Out, out, out. General strikes, protests, whatever. I don't care what it is. But you have to fucking pay attention. And there's one nuclear football that he's afraid of, and that's the Epstein files. One. And why is he afraid of it? Because 89% of you agree that you want to see what the fuck went on. And who did what to your country, and who did what to those poor young kids and those poor young women. Don't take your eyes off that. Pound away at that, because the conversations we're having today are moot if that is our goal. So keep your eyes on the prize. Make sure you continue to share content from people like us that fill you in. Make sure you subscribe. And a little known thing that I found out about Substack, the more paid subs you have, the higher you get to the top of the algorithm, and the more people hear this content. So hit that Chiron at the top. You'll see Zev Shalev. You'll see me. You'll follow us immediately. Free or paid doesn't matter to us. But if you want other people to have this information, make sure you buy a membership. Make sure you buy a subscription, gift a subscription, and send it to somebody else, because We want to be able to own these conversations, specifically here. If we can own them here, we can own them everywhere. And we've got one job to do, and that's to beat Donald Trump in America. Nothing else. I don't give a fuck about Venezuela. I don't give a shit about Russia at the moment. If you beat Donald Trump in the United States of America, all that other shit takes care of itself.
Yeah, and if you don't, we'll end up in a world war. I mean, this is the reality of where this guy's driving us to. And in the world war where America is not the hero, a world war where America is considered the reviled enemy that needs to be beaten by the rest of the world. I mean, this is where we're heading to. If you think the people of Venezuela love Maduro, they did not love Maduro. Maybe some people did, but majority of people did not love what Chavez and Maduro did to Venezuela. They know he ripped their economy apart, stole so much money from them. But they don't like the fact that America had stepped in there and stole their president, kidnapped their president in the middle of the night without any authority. And that kind of thing where you act like a barbarian from the dark ages, plundering countries for oil or whatever material needs you need, is what makes people really dislike America. And the more they keep doing that, the more America looks Neanderthal-like and lacking any respect and lacking any human rights respect and authority, that we start losing the moral high ground. And this is what America's built on, is the moral high ground. If we don't maintain that, and clearly this president doesn't give a shit about that, we are in deep, deep trouble. And every single person watching this show, every single watches any of the things here on Substack, knows that they can do something about it. There is one thing you can do every single day, whether it's a post, whether it's sharing this video, whether it's writing your own articles on Substack, whether it's telling your friends what the truth is because you're not getting the truth on national media. Whatever it is, whether it's organizing your community, whether it's starting to figure out how you're going to win these elections in next November, there's something you can do, one thing you can do every single day. And this is the day to start that one thing, because we do not have time. Time is running out for America to successfully eliminate Donald Trump's presidency. So we need to take action. You need to take action. Write it down today. One thing you're going to do every single day. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to take more than 20 minutes of your day. Just do one thing every single day to start moving the ball. All that energy, if everybody does it, all that energy multiplies and multiplies and multiplies, and it'll ultimately lead to success. I'm convinced of that.
Well said, my friend.
Thank you.
Well said. Yeah.
DeanBundell.substack.com is where you get a lot of this incredible news coverage. You must check him out if you're not already a subscriber. I'm sure many of you are. Do it today. Become a paid subscriber. He works so hard, nonstop throughout the holidays. You were just there all the time. And your coverage of Canada's involvement in this new geopolitical world is so fascinating. Your coverage of Maduro today was spot on about it being a staged event. Really, everyone should be checking out Dean's site, but also his incredible Substacks. You're so busy today. You got did you say Malcolm and Jacob coming up?
Yeah, 6 o'clock in an hour. I've got Malcolm and
lineup.
Jacob. Yeah, it's going to be good. Jacob Carsbo, former Danish intelligence officer, and then Malcolm Nance. Everybody knows Black Man Spy, Malcolm Nance. He's incredible. Military counterterrorism expert, wrote textbooks on the shit. He's advising the Danish government right now. So we'll get into it because Denmark's going through it and Greenland might too. So yeah, and I want to remind everybody, go to narrative.org. Greatest Heist series, where are we at? I know you put out a banger over the holidays.
Yeah, it was just a recap. I'm still working on chapter 8 because it's so huge, actually, in terms of what we find out about it. I'll get it out as soon as I can, and maybe there's a couple more chapters in this book series to come out. But people need to be paying attention to it because it's the other Epstein crimes. It's the other Epstein and Trump crimes that I'm revealing. And it all involves a $6.7 billion heist during the 2008 crash. It really is important reporting. And I'm not just saying that because it's mine. People should check it out. And hopefully I'll get it out in the next few days.
I'm saying that it's incredible reporting, even though it's not mine, because I read it. It's awesome.
Thanks, Dean.
That's it for the Five Stack, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for doing this, Zeb. Sorry I was late. Sorry I was late, folks. We'll be back at 3 o'clock. Make sure you hit that sub button. Make sure you hear that share button. Make sure you hit those hearts. And be good to yourself tonight, my friends. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Thanks, Zev.
Cheers.